What's up, Not So Pro Football Talk? This is episode 4 and the last one of the season for Not So Pro Seahawks Talk. So, welcome back to the channel. Today we have a lot of stuff to talk about. As you saw on the title screen, we're going over the entire season of the Seattle Seahawks all the way back from week 1. I would talk about preseason, but then again, we were just really seeing how our rookies were going to play this year, and we've been very fortunate to say that our rookies are some of the best in the NFL currently. But getting right into it, let's go over week 1. This is where everybody doubted us. If you really want to know how many people doubted us, go ahead and look at the thumbnail on this video, whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or listening on Spotify. If you can look at that, check us out on YouTube and Facebook and all that stuff, and TikTok as well. But this week in week 1, this is where we were really doubted, both by AJ and Reed on this NSP football podcast. They didn't believe in the Seahawks like I did. Uh, Now, my mind was telling me that the Seahawks could most likely lose this game against Russell Wilson. But as we know, that currently in week 18, the Broncos are not the best anymore. And Russell Wilson is not the best quarterback, or not a top 5 quarterback anymore. So this is where we went ahead, took away everything that Russell Wilson had done in Seattle, and Geno Smith is now the main man in Seattle. We won this game 17-16, so it wasn't a blowout win by anybody. We did win 17-16, so it was a very, very good game. But Geno got the best of Russell Wilson. Our defense stopped him. Their defense stopped us a few times, but we got the dub here in week 1. So that goes in being 1-0. Now on to week 2, 49ers. 49ers always have our ticket. We have beaten them quite a bit in the past 3 years, but they are a different team now, and so are we. We've lost a lot of players on the defensive side to injury. Just free agency, most likely, is the main culprit here. But week 2 against the San Francisco 49ers, we did not do so hot. We lost 7-27. It was kind of our wake-up call after we beat Russell Wilson. We just needed to get better as a team. And in the next week, we did have a decent matchup, that going into week 3 with the Falcons. This looked like a game that we could most likely win. Matt Ryan had just been shipped off. They did not have the best person at quarterback there with Mariota, but he did go ahead and beat us. The score was 23-27. We did lose this game again, moving down to 1-2. Now going into week 3, we had the Lions. Now this was a game that we kind of knew was going to be pretty high scoring. I called it when we did our prediction video here. It was a very, very high scoring game. It was 48-45. We ended up winning this game in a shootout. It felt like there was no defense at all in week 4, but it was really, really fun to watch. And now looking back at it, week 17 going into week 18, the Lions need a win, and the Lions need us to lose to get into the playoffs, but we need a win, and we need the Packers to lose to get into playoffs. So it's cool looking back at week 4, we played the Lions. That game really helped us out. So all we have to do is win and hope the Packers lose. But it was crazy to see that these two teams are fighting it out for a possible playoffs position at the number 7 spot to most likely play either the San Francisco 49ers, Philadelphia Eagles, or the Dallas Cowboys. However, that playoff prediction or playoff seeding works out with this last week in week 18. But moving on, we will go ahead and move to week 5 with the Saints. This was another tough game. We did not do good in this one. We did go ahead and lose this game 32-39. It was another shootout. This is where our defense started becoming irrelevant on the season. It just wasn't good overall. So I don't really want to talk about this game. Alvin Kamara went off. I believe this was where he had like pretty much over 200 scrimmage yards against us. This is not a game I really want to recollect on, but we went down here. We are now 2-3 on the season at this point. Now in week 6 against the Cardinals have not been playing good all year. Kind of knew here that we were going to go ahead and win, but it was a little bit of a tough game. We couldn't get that many points on the board. It was a lot of field goals. We ended up winning 19-9 against the Cardinals, and it wasn't a big hoorah. We had a lot of stuff to work on at this point in the season. Week 6, we are now 3-3, but we are not totally satisfied. So moving on to week 7, a lot of people doubted us here. They thought the Chargers could come and get an upset against us, but I knew that our Seahawks were good enough. I felt like we were going to be just fine right here against the Chargers. We ended up winning this game 37-23. It was a good game for us. We had a lot of points on the board. We shut down Eckler, and we shut down their wide receivers in Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. So that was a good game for us. Good confidence boost going into week 7. We are now 4-3 on the season. Going into the next game, we had the Giants, week 8. This one was another good game because Geno Smith used to be on the Giants for a small stint in his career. So it was kind of like a revenge game. We did do pretty well against the Giants. We beat them 27-13. So now this puts us, I believe, at 5-3 here at this point after week 8. So it's going good here. We're getting more wins than anybody thought we would get in the season at this point. So that's very good on for us, as well as our not so well for our playoff seeding, but I mean our draft seeding, but in our playoff seeding, it was looking very hopeful here. We had moved up above the 49ers at this point for first in the NFC West. But as we know now, the 49ers have the hold on the NFC West title, and they're going to be in the playoffs. So going into week 9 against the Cardinals again, it was another easy game here. It's the second time we play the Cardinals this season. Beat them 31-21. Again, not too happy on the defensive side of what we let the Cardinals do to us, but we ended up getting the win here. So now we're at 6-3. And this is the pinnacle of our season so far, because the next week we're going to go ahead and take an L to Mr. Tom Brady right after his divorce. Not to bash on the guy, but he did play pretty well after all of that stuff. So this game was in Germany. It was very, very highly rated here. Morning game. Everybody was watching. A lot of Seahawks and Buccaneers fans out there in Germany. So we appreciate y'all. If you guys are watching from Germany here, I appreciate you. But we went ahead and took the loss 16-21. But it was a great game. I love seeing the NFL expand into different countries, see where we can play. And it should be good for the future of the NFL and football in general. The next week, we have a bye week, week 11 here. We should be 6-4 at this point. We should have been like 7-3, possibly 8-2 at this point. If I'm being honest, we should have beat the Falcons. I think we could have beat the Buccaneers. Is just a few mishaps here and there, but 6-4 is not too bad going into week 11. We had the bye week here, so really good needed area, and it was a well-timed bye week. Moving on to week 12 against the Raiders. This game I was very, very disappointed. Fantasy-wise, I wasn't, because I had Josh Jacobs, but I was very disappointed that the Seahawks lost. We did lose here 34-40. And again, our defense did not show up. They ran the ball all over us like Alvin Kamara did when we played the Saints. But Raiders got the best of us here, 34-40. That's another L, 6-5 at this point. Moving on to week 13 against the Rams. We knew this game was going to be an easy game, but it didn't turn up being that easy. We only won 27-23 against the Rams. This pushes us to 7-5. So it is getting better going into the playoffs here. It seems like we are going to get that 6 or 7 spot at this point in week 13. But as we know now, we are fighting for that last spot. But going on to the next game here in week 14 against the Panthers. This was a good game in my opinion. We did not end up winning this game, so that's the only sad part about it. But it was 24-30, so not too bad of a loss. But here we are, 7-6, week 14. not looking like the best for playoff hopes. But moving on to week 15 against 49ers, this is why our hopes really shot down. We lose this game again, 13-21. 49ers get the best of us, but we did play better against them than the first time when we lost 7-27. So I'm pretty happy with this outcome. We did lose, which I'm not ecstatic about, but it gives us hope going into the playoffs. Hopefully we face up against the Niners and we can get the best of them there. But here we are, 7-7, going into week 16 against the Chiefs. And this is another tough game, a game that I thought we could win, but we just could not stop Kelsey. We could not stop McKinnon. We could not stop Juju Smith-Schuster. And those were, if you look back at my first video from Seahawks Talk, or actually my second video from Seahawks Talk, we really needed to stop those three guys. And we just could not. Patrick Mahomes was clicking on all levels with those guys, and that's why they ended up beating us 10-24. So that's another huge loss. We are now 7-8. But I had a lot of hope going into this game against the Jets in week 17. I knew we would beat them. We looked back at the last 3 times we played them. They had not scored a touchdown on offense. I think the highest points that they put up against us since 2008 was 7, and that was off a defensive score, off a scoop and score fumble. But going into that, we are now 8-8 at this point in week 17. As you see here, our record is 8-8 with that cool lime green right there, just like Seahawks colors. But along the way, it took a lot to get here. We've had a lot of injuries. We had a lot of success with some players. But let's get into those injuries here. We have Jordan Brooks. This past game in week 17, he bit the dust. And it was not something that we would have wanted at this point in time. We would like to have him if we go into the playoffs, because he is decent in pass coverage, but he's great at pursuing the ball, wherever the ball is, whoever has it. He's similar to Bobby Wagner, not as good as Bobby Wagner, but he can get there. He is young, but now he has an ACL injury. We're not going to have him until late in the season next year, just so he can recover fully and come back stronger than he is now. But some other injuries we did have was Jamal Adams. We lost him again in week 7. That's another player we're looking forward to having next season, especially at the safety position. We did find Ryan Neal, who is currently playing safety, and a little bit of linebacker here and there with rushing the passer. But I would like him to be somewhere in the slot cornerback position, because he has shown a lot of faith there. He's shown that he can lock up some of those fast slot receivers, because he is shifty and small himself. But yeah, looking forward to having Jamal Adams back next season. Another guy I'm looking forward to having back most likely is Rashad Penny. We'll see if we go ahead and add some more onto his contract there to keep him as a Seahawk. We do have Kenneth Walker, who I will talk about in a little bit. But Kenneth Walker's been doing great. But Rashad Penny was also another guy who could really help us. So another one, the last injury I want to talk about, is the last big one that I would like to talk about. Not a humongous guy who is a really big playmaker, but he is good at run blocking, pass blocking, whatever you name it. He's also pretty good at running some routes. His name is Will Dissly, a.k.a. Uncle Dissly. He got hurt and got put on IR in week 16. Hopefully he's okay, and hopefully he can come back as a Seahawk and play next year for the 2023-24 season. But moving on, this may be a long video, but I really want to encompass everything on the season. Some good accolades from some of our top players here is one of them, Geno Smith. He got paid an extra milli on his contract this year because he threw for more yards than 4,069. Nice. But he got a milli because he's playing very well. He's passing the ball very well. He's getting a lot of yardage there. And he has one of the highest passing percentages as of completion rate. So that's amazing. His QBR is very good as well. He doesn't make very many mistakes. But he did have that stint for 3 weeks where he was throwing a lot of interceptions, which really decreased his QBR as well as his touchdown to interception ratio this past year. But we're not going to worry about that. Good job for Geno Smith getting the extra million, and hopefully he gets a big extension coming into next season because if I'm not mistaken, it does not look like we are going to try to get a quarterback. I think we would stay with Geno Smith. But even if we do, I still think Geno Smith and Drew Lock are going to be the 1 and 2 at that QB position, even if we draft one in the draft this year. But moving on, well, actually not moving on. This is something really cool because we all know that Russell Wilson used to be our quarterback, and he has the franchise record right now for passing yards in a season at 4,219. So that means Geno Smith only has 151 more yards to pass for to go ahead and pass him as the franchise holder for most yards in a single season. So I think that's pretty cool. I hope Geno can take it. Russell Wilson, no slight on you or anything like that, but I would really like Geno Smith to have some success here as a Seahawk since he has been with us for at least the past 4 to 5 years. But moving on, Kenneth Walker. He joins only 2 out of all the entire running backs that we've had to be rookies with the Seahawks. He is only the 3rd rookie running back to go for 1,000 scrimmage yards in their rookie season. So kudos to him. Hopefully Kenneth Walker can stay healthy for the remainder of his time in Seattle. And hopefully we can lock him up in a few years whenever his contract does end so he can stay at Seahawks for much longer. But good job for Kenneth Walker. Hopefully he can stay. And hopefully Rashad Penny comes back next year so they can both be that double-headed duo, even a triple-headed trio with DJ Dallas as well. But an honorable mention, this is just a fun fact here. The XFL is coming. We should be covering it here on NSP. So go ahead and check that out when the XFL does start after the NFL season. Josh Gordon, the ex-Seahawks receiver, got drafted 45th in the 6th round of a complimentary draft for the XFL to the Seattle Sea Dragons. So that's cool. I like that Seattle has an XFL team. But getting back to some other players on the Seahawks, Miles Adams. Haven't heard too much about this guy. He's been pretty quiet, but he looks like he can be a good rotational player for us. In this last game against the Jets, he had 2 tackles, and he was plugging up the lanes as a defensive tackle for that running game for the Jets. This is why I think we did really, really well against the Jets, beating the heck out of them, only allowing them 6 points. But Miles Adams is not a big stats guy. He is just a guy who will make a difference. So I think if he can become a rotational player at the defensive tackle position, he can really stuff the run, not really getting those tackles because he's going to be getting double teamed like he was this past week. But he had one amazing play where he was double teamed. He split the double team, and he got a tackle for loss against Ty Johnson of the Jets, who's number 25. Go look back at that play. It was freaking awesome. Miles Adams, good job. Hopefully you're a Seahawk for a long time, and I hope that you can be that rotational player to help us get back to a championship level. But another guy I really want to talk about this past game is Colby Parkinson. He did very well, also run blocking, but he also was a stat stuffer here. He had 5 receptions, 36 yards, and a touchdown to help us beat the Jets. So good for Colby. Like I said, Will Dissly was put on IR in Week 16, so Colby Parkinson and Noah Fant were the guys who were playing the tight end position most of the time, and they both did really good against for run blocking purposes. We did have 198 rushing yards this game. Awesome. But getting into that, I think that is the only way that we are going to go ahead and win this next game. So Week 18, we have the Rams again for the second time. The last time we played them, we beat them 27-23. For this game, I think we're going to do a lot better. I think we're going to really, really enforce the run. I think our defense is going to play better, even though Jordan Brooks is out. I just think that we should be fine. It's going to be a tough game defensively, but I think the Rams are not the best on offense, so I think it will be all right for us. I think our offense is clicking with Geno, Kenneth Walker, like I said, Colby Parkinson, tight end position. DK Metcalf, and hopefully Tyler Lockett is 100% healthy going into Week 18. If not, hold him out. I think we should be just fine without him. But with him, I think we for sure 100% win against the Rams. So my prediction here for this game, I think we're going to win again around the 30-point range. I think we're going to win 30-18. I know it's a weird number, but I think there's going to be some issues with the Rams, extra points. They're going to try to go for 2. I think there's going to be a lot of field goals from them because I still think our defense is good. But 30-18, I think we should go ahead and win by a wide margin. So maybe even 30-17 if you want a real football number there. But I think 18 is going to be my wild card number there. So 30-18, go ahead and put a bet on it if you want to, if you really believe in me. But that's not all for this video. We still have one thing that needs to happen for us to get into the playoffs after we win the game against the Rams here, and that is for the Packers to get a fat L. Sorry, Reed. I do hope that your team does have success for sure, especially with Aaron Rodgers and all the drama that's been going on. But I think Aaron Rodgers is a great player. I think the Packers are doing very, very well at this point in time. They've resurged back into the playoff picture, and now they control their own destiny, as you've been saying on Packer Talk. But we need the Packers to lose. We need the Lions to win, just like I said earlier, and we need the Seahawks to win. And that's how we get into the playoffs at the number 7 position. We're either going to play the Eagles, 49ers, or we are going to play the Dallas Cowboys. So if anybody I want to play there, it would probably be the 49ers. It is probably our toughest matchup, but wouldn't it be awesome if we could just kick out the Packers and the 49ers? How much bragging rights I would probably have over Reed and AJ for this upcoming year. But I probably won't. We'll see if the Seahawks can make it. I think we will win this game, but like I said, we don't control our destiny like the Packers. So that'll be all for this video. Put down some comments down below what you think the score is going to be for the Seattle Seahawks versus the Rams, and tell me what you think the score is going to be for the Packers and Lions. But other than that, go ahead and follow us on Twitter, Twitch, Spotify, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube here. We're at NSP Football Talk everywhere there. Go ahead and put down a like, put a comment, whatever you want to say. What do you think about this video? What do you think about the Seahawks season? But other than that, guys, thank you for watching. And as AJ always says, keep on grinding. And as I always say now, go 12s.